Drinking coffee after 70 could be silently sabotaging your health. This simple switch might change everything. The quiet caffeine habit, a hidden risk. There's something about that first cup of coffee in the morning, the familiar aroma, the warmth that spreads through your body, and the quiet comfort it brings. For many, coffee isn't just a drink, it's a ritual. A small moment in the day that feels both comforting and invigorating. But as we age, that seemingly harmless habit of reaching for coffee can quietly begin to carry risks. Risks that often go unnoticed. For many seniors, coffee is a cornerstone of daily life, an enduring companion through the years. It's there when the day starts, when the afternoon drags, and even as a comforting evening ritual. But what happens when this dependable habit starts to affect health in ways we don't see coming? For some, coffee might no longer feel like it did when they were younger. The boost of energy it once provided might be followed by sudden feelings of jitteriness or increased anxiety. It's easy to dismiss these symptoms, writing them off as just part of aging, but there's something more to it, something subtle and easy to overlook. The caffeine that once gave us a lift can now disrupt our sleep patterns, leaving us more tired than before. That restless sleep can pile up, subtly eroding our well-being, leading to a slower, quieter decline. The issue with caffeine, especially for seniors, isn't always about what happens in the moment. It's the cumulative impact, the way it can creep into the body and change how we feel, how we rest, and how we think. For those who've always had coffee, the habit becomes so ingrained that it's hard to imagine life without it. Yet at the same time, the risks remain tucked away, hidden just beneath the surface. And then there's the heart. The physical toll that caffeine can have on the aging body is often underestimated. For seniors, the heart's ability to handle the occasional jolt from caffeine can diminish, leading to fluctuations in blood pressure and heart rate. Over time, what was once a harmless habit becomes something more insidious. But no one talks about it. Coffee is always accepted, always understood as a simple pleasure. But is it? Perhaps, just perhaps, it's worth asking whether our relationship with coffee might be quietly undermining our health without us even realizing it. How many of us have truly questioned the impact it has as we age? Could it be time for a change? A change we don't yet fully understand. The aging body's response. Why this matters now. It's easy to overlook the way our bodies shift with age, the subtle changes like the slowing metabolism or the way our liver processes things a little slower. What was once normal, even easy to ignore, suddenly becomes something more significant as we age. And caffeine? It's no exception. When we're younger, our bodies handle caffeine with ease. It provides a quick pick-me-up, a way to power through a tough day. But when we hit our 70s, our bodies start to process caffeine differently. The liver's ability to break it down slows down, leaving caffeine lingering in the bloodstream longer. This means that a cup of coffee in the morning might not be as harmless as it once was. It lingers, affecting our sleep, our energy, our heart. It's not just about metabolism slowing down, it's about how everything else begins to respond differently. Increased caffeine in the system can lead to raised blood pressure, a concern that becomes increasingly relevant as we get older. The body, less able to tolerate the stimulant, begins to show signs of strain. It's subtle, but it's there. The digestive system, too, feels the change. Caffeine, a stimulant by nature, can worsen conditions like acid reflux, leading to discomfort after that cup of coffee. The same beverage that once offered energy now has a far more complicated relationship with the body. And yet, many seniors continue to drink coffee, unaware that their bodies are sending signals they might not fully recognize or understand. So, why does it matter now? Because the body's aging process changes the rules. What was once a mild inconvenience, perhaps a slight discomfort after drinking coffee, could now become a persistent issue, one that complicates other health conditions. The risk isn't always immediate, but over time, the effects accumulate, creating a landscape where independence becomes harder to maintain. But the real question remains, how much longer can this go unnoticed? Is it possible that this quiet, seemingly innocent ritual is something we need to reconsider? Mistakes and misunderstandings. The caffeine trap. By the time we're in our 70s, many of us have spent decades living with coffee as a constant companion. It's familiar, comforting, and often viewed as something that simply works. But there's a subtle trap that many seniors fall into, one that involves misunderstanding what coffee actually is and what it does to us now. The first mistake is assuming that what worked in our youth continues to be harmless in later life. For many seniors, coffee continues to feel like an old friend. They drink it without giving it much thought, relying on its effects to stave off fatigue and boost alertness. But here's where the misunderstanding starts. Caffeine, as we age, isn't just about staying awake. It's about how it interacts with the body in ways that weren't an issue when we were younger. Drinking multiple cups a day, it's easy to slip into this pattern, especially if coffee has been a mainstay for years. But over time, the body's reaction to that caffeine doesn't go unnoticed. The physical effects can range from increased anxiety to a heightened heart rate. The worst part? Many seniors don't realize they've crossed into dependency. Another mistake is relying on coffee to stay alert. It's tempting. You start the day with a cup, and by the time the afternoon slump hits, another cup seems like the perfect solution. But the truth is, the more you drink, the less your body can rely on it. It becomes a vicious cycle, one that slowly becomes harder to break. And there's the cultural piece, too. Coffee is deeply ingrained in our daily life, from morning routines to social gatherings. For many seniors, drinking coffee is as much about culture and habit as it is about the caffeine boost. It's something familiar, a part of life that doesn't need to be questioned. But is it serving us well, or simply maintaining a habit that no longer serves us in the way it once did? It's a delicate balance, and often the symptoms are brushed off, dismissed as part of aging or just a little quirk of life, but the stakes are higher than we realize. The caffeine trap is subtle and it's easy to fall into without even knowing it, but still, we must ask. How many of us are stuck in this cycle, too proud or too accustomed to even think about breaking it? Is it possible that we've misread the signs for all these years? The consequences: deteriorating health and quiet, erosion of independence. As the effects of caffeine continue to build up, the consequences begin to escalate. It starts small, an anxious thought here, a restless night there. But over time, these small effects compound into something more serious. The toll caffeine takes on our sleep, our heart, and our overall health doesn't always feel immediate. But eventually it becomes undeniable. Sleep disruption is often the first sign. What once might have been a single restless night turns into a pattern, a cycle that builds as caffeine lingers in the body longer. The sense of tiredness isn't just physical, it becomes emotional too. When sleep is compromised, everything else starts to slip. The energy needed for the day, the mental clarity to make decisions, and the patience to deal with the everyday stresses of life all become harder to access. Anxiety levels rise, and the emotional cost of poor rest becomes clear. As this pattern continues, the consequences go beyond just feeling tired. The body starts to suffer not just from the lack of sleep, but from the ongoing wear on the heart and mind. The health risks slowly accumulate: anxiety, poor decision making, and even an increased risk of falls, and it doesn't stop there. The feeling of independence begins to erode as well. The more we struggle with sleep and anxiety, the more our ability to function with the same ease becomes compromised. What once felt like a normal, productive day becomes a challenge, and the small comforts that coffee once provided now feel like traps, holding us back. At what point do we realize that our independence is quietly slipping away? At what point do we recognize that something as simple as a cup of coffee could be the culprit, eroding both our health and dignity? The truth about alternatives: restoring peace and energy. It doesn't have to be this way. The realization that coffee no longer serves us is not a call for deprivation, but a call for transformation. There's a better way, a path that leads to greater peace and energy without the hidden risks of caffeine. Herbal teas, warm lemon water, or even nutrient-rich beverages like green smoothies. These alternatives provide the same comfort, the same sense of ritual, but without the negative effects. Seniors who've made the switch often talk about how their energy levels even out, how their sleep improves, and how their overall sense of well-being is restored. The emotional shift is just as important as the physical one. Seniors who make this change often feel a sense of empowerment. They've taken